Here we go, and we're live.
Hurrah.
I think. I think. Right. Have I got? Oh yeah, no, you're there. Good, love that. Oh, only apart from the fact it's the image is not in the right place. Love that for me. We'll adjust that before I show them. Position. Let's try that. There we go. It's just dropped down for some reason. Don't know quite why that is. Magic, magic. Sorry, I'm technically on the radio. That's why you can just hear the radio in the background at the moment. I've had to be doing something called VTing. Exciting, isn't it? The magic of radio. Right, here we go. Look out, they're about to see you, Andy. Brace yourself. There we are. So yes, it's I'm really excited about this episode, something that we've been looking forward to sharing with you for a while. So this is very, very exciting that the day is finally here. All will become apparent. You probably worked it out. Regular watchers and listeners will have probably noticed from the graphic, to be honest with you, what's going on. Our wonderful producer John has been very busy.
I enjoyed the graphic as well when I saw it.
Yes, indeed. Oh dear. I got so many questions. I haven't seen the interview yet, so I'm quite looking forward to watching that as well. Yeah, so it's sort of quite video heavy this week, but Andy is very kindly. Why am I not showing? Hang on. Let's try and see let's try that. There we go. Ha ha! There we are. Yes, Andy is very kindly joined me. It's just me and Andy this week because Carlos is quite broken moving house at the moment. Bless him. I just had a video call with him before I jumped on here, and him and his lovely wife Gemma look, I'll be honest with you, absolutely awful.
It is pretty stressful moving house.
Oh, I don't know why anybody would ever do it to themselves. It's the most horrendous thing, isn't it, to move house? Oh, it's just like is one of the reasons why I avoid it at all costs. Oh, Servant says, I nearly fainted when I watched Mr. Beast's video. I'm a fan anyway. It was like a fever dream. Yes, I bet. I can imagine. Yeah. Psyched to see Armando and all of my Av Geeks back for another one. Yeah. Hello, Master of None. Nice to have you along. Hi, Tanya. Hi, Andrew. What did Andrew say? See, it's true. Men can multitask. Not really. Something called voice tracking. I'll bore you all with it next time I see you all in person. Yeah. Essentially what it is what I call nearly live radio. So I record a couple of links ahead, basically, just to keep the information current. But it means that we can then start on time, which I know Nev is always very keen for us to do. So perish the thought that if I didn't, we'd be in big trouble.
And we're ready. There's 4 minutes to go and we're ready.
I know, right? Yeah, I've loaded in all the video. The only thing I haven't downloaded is any pictures yet, but we'll perhaps try and do that on the fly.
See what happens.
Yeah, see how I get on. Can't promise anything. You know what I'm like.
You're a master.
Yeah. Master of none, in fact. Stealing yeah, this bodes well, doesn't it? I wonder how many times I'll have to redo the intro.
See, I can barely keep my eyes open. You can't talk.
Yeah, absolutely. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a busy old show today. Mainly because of the video content. We've also got one of the first videos from Carlos and Nev's trip to the airshow in Ireland. All the details on that Andy will share with you before it goes. So it's a busy old, it's sort of video heavy this time round. But as I say, delighted that Andy's here to sort of help me sort of pin it all together, because I'm sure we'll have much to discuss after Armando's video. Indeed. Oh dear. All right, we are 1 minute and 15 seconds away from the off, or from what I should say, clock, as they say. Oh, Oh, auto renewal. Oh, it's car tax renewal time. Yay.
Being an adult's great fun, isn't it?
No, it really does suck. There's no... I'm not even going to sugarcoat it, Andy. It's rubbish being an adult. You have to go to... Oh, no. What's happened? Don't tell me it's just frozen right at the last... Ah! Uh-oh. Brilliant. It's just frozen just before we were about to go live. Is it going to come back in time? That's the question. Oh, come on. Come on, come on, come on. What's going on? It's just frozen. Love that.
Oh, I'm back.
Oh, thank God for that. That was close. Yeah.
I could see the panicked look on your face on YouTube.
Yeah. One of horror. Yeah, this is brilliant. Lovely. I've just got to try and get your video back, so just bear with me. Display one. Okay, hopefully that'll bring back the video. Oh.
I spoke too soon earlier, didn't I?
Yeah, I know. Right, so it's all right. We'll press the button now because we are there. It's just where is it gone? Where is the list gone? Oh, there. There we go. All right. So a few minutes late. Nobody tell Nev. Keep it as our secret. Hey, here we go. 30 seconds late. He'll never forgive me. Oh. Just checking it's gone into the news. Jolly good. Yes, excellent. It's no longer my responsibility now. Here we go then. Off we go.
10, 9,
good luck, everyone.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
And welcome to episode 563. My name is Matt. No Carlos this week. He's far too busy moving house and looking terrible in the same time as well. In this week's show, the woes continue for Boeing. Some airports go up for sale, including London Norwich, and one of the PT UK team won themselves a corporate jet. As you do. Joining me this week here on the show, great to have you back. It is the wonderful Andy. How are you, sir? You've had a busy few weeks, have you not?
I have, yes. Hello. It's nice to be back. It feels like months since I've been on.
I know,
I've been all over the place. I've been all up to Iceland, all the way down to Tenerife, everywhere in between. Okay. Having a lovely time.
No, we'll come back to that. What's the? Are they been? Is it been a mixture of work, a mixture of sort of pleasure, or like a holiday, or any of the above?
That's it. Yeah, there was 2 weeks holiday. The rest was all work. Let's call it work. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, for the interests of I don't know, public safety. I don't know.
Keeping my job. It was work.
Right.
Yes,
okay. Yes. Very good. Yeah. Love that. Absolutely. Definitely the way forward. And yes, Andy, bless him. I'm so grateful he's here because he literally got back really not that long ago, having a trip down in Edinburgh for work as well. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. Otherwise, it really was going to be just me on my own at one point.
Absolute pleasure as always, Matt.
Marvellous. So, a busy old show. We've got lots of videos to share with you this week. We are still going to do a handful of stories here on the programme. So, what do you reckon, Andy? Shall we get straight into it?
Yeah, let's crack on.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelts.
So we'll start off with our first story then. We're off to the EDP, which is our local newspaper here in the east of England. And the headline is, Norwich Airport is set to be sold along with two other regional airports in a deal reported to be worth £200 million. London-listed investment group ICG has agreed a deal with Rigby Group to purchase the City Airport as well as airports in Exeter and in Bournemouth. Regional and City Airports RCA, which operates the sites, announced today that it has entered into an agreement to partner with ICG after more than a decade with Rigby Group. The deal for the three airports, which collectively serve more than 2 million passengers annually, is due to be formally agreed later this month. Norwich Airport became a part of Rigby Group back in 2014, a privately owned conglomerate that has an interest in hotels, software and technology sectors. The airport currently serves 19 destinations and employs 250 people. It welcomed almost 430,000 passengers in the year ending March 2025, up by almost a quarter, 23% on the previous year, thanks to the start of a new Ryanair flight service in April 2024. The airport also acts as a gateway to the southern North Sea for the offshore energy industry. The strategic partnership with ICG includes the neighbouring Imperial Park Norwich, a 115-acre development site with planning permission for more than 1.2 million square foot of new workspace. That's a big old number, isn't it? Richard Pace, Managing Director of Norwich Airport, said that the strategic partnership with ICG marks a significant milestone for Norwich Airport. Over the past decade, we've made tremendous progress expanding our route network and strengthening our role as a regional gateway, he said on Monday. With the support of ICG, we now have an exciting opportunity to build on that success and unlock even more potential for our airport, our passengers, our workforce and the wider community. Steve Rigby, co-CEO of Rigby Group, added that now is the right time for the next phase in regional and city airports growth in collaboration with an infrastructure fund with the investment capability and appetite to ensure these airports and their associated property reach their full potential. So yes, I don't know how I feel about all this one, because it's all been going really rather well for Norwich lately. Of course, picking up, was it 3 routes I think by Ryanair, and they've proved to be actually quite successful, and it looks like they're going to be potentially expanding on the choice out of Norwich Airport very, very soon. But I don't know, I can't help but feel nervous whenever an airport is being sold.
Yes. Especially when you get an investment group involved as well. Yeah. You never know what their motives are. But Norwich does have a very large catchment area as well, so hopefully with this extra investment they can develop the airport further. Yeah,
absolutely. Do you know much about ICG? I mean, I know they do own a number of airports sort of around the UK and the wider world as well.
Well, that's good. They've got experience then in the field, which is always a bonus. But no, I don't really know much about them at all. No, indeed. I know Carl, who works there, is who drew my attention to the story, should I say, this week. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they feel about that. I mean, I suppose if they're going to invest in the airport, then I guess it can only be good news. Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed. All right, then. Well, we'll move on to the next story then, and sad news to share, I'm afraid.
Yes, this is from generalaviationnews.com, and it's a sightseeing flight that turned fatal, sadly, for the 2 members on board. According to family members of the passengers, the purpose of the flight was a scenic tour of downtown Miami. One of the passengers occupied the front left seat, the flight instructor occupied the right front seat, and the other passenger occupied the rear seat. Neither of the passengers held pilot certificates or licenses, and there was no luggage. The Cessna 172 departed North Perry Airport in Hollywood, Florida, and 2 security cameras from different angles showed the aircraft's takeoff, roll and rotation. But during the initial climb, the aircraft's pitch increased rapidly before reducing several seconds later until the aircraft reached about 125 feet above the ground. The aircraft then began a left descending turn, rolled further to the left and descended steeply until hitting terrain on airport property about 650 feet northeast of the departure end of the runway. The aircraft hit the ground in a steep left-wing low nose-down attitude before coming to rest upright. Unfortunately, the flight instructor and front seat passengers died in the crash, while the rear seat passenger was seriously injured. And following the accident, the surviving passenger has been unable to recall any details about the flight at all. That's a very sad story there that seems to have gone from what looks to me like a training flight. I guess it must be a training flight because the pilot in the left seat didn't have a license or certificate, as they call them in the States. Something's gone wrong very rapidly there, and it'll all come out in the wash, but it's very sad when things like this happen.
Although quite surprised if it was like a training flight. I was surprised at how many people were on board.
Yes, that's going to be questions asked about that, I think.
Indeed, yeah, absolutely. Alan White in the chat room is saying, flight instruction and sightseeing flights are a tricky business. My previous employer had to turn away many, many requests for tours until they had an AOC. I wonder if this school also did. Yeah, that's a good point, actually, isn't it? Yes, Andrew Hall is saying, RA, have you seen the business pack on the northeast of the airport? Oh, right. Oh, sorry. Richard Adams. Sorry, I've lost the plot there. Sorry, I'm trying to do something I'm not very good at, which is doing more than one thing at once. Indeed, yes, yeah, very sad story. Yeah, as I say, more to come out of that, I'm sure, in time. Okay, all right then. So we'll take a look at the next story then. We're off to UKAviation.news is the headline in this. We mentioned this airport earlier. They're involved in this sale as well. Bournemouth Airport. They're facing shutdown as Union is going to be balloting workers. Bournemouth Airport is facing a potential shutdown next month as members of the Unite Union employed at the airport are balloted on strike action. Almost 80 members of staff are members of Unite, including refuelers, baggage handlers, security staff and check-in staff, all of whom have rejected a pay offer which would have seen the lowest paid rise to £12.22 per hour. Unite says that the pay offer ranged from 4.5% to the lowest paid workers of 3% for the highest paid. As almost all aspects of ground handling is included in Unite's membership, any strike action would effectively close the airport during the industrial action. Unite General Secretary Sharon Graham said Bournemouth Airport is putting its own interests over those of the workers. We appreciate it is investing in its future, but members must not be left behind in the pursuit of that task. Our hard-working members deserve a fair pay rise, and Unite will back them every step of the way. The ballot is running until the 20th of August, and any resulting industrial action could start as soon as the first week of September, affecting the final week of the summer holidays. Bournemouth Airport is one of the UK's growing regional airports, with EasyJet, Jet2, Ryanair and TUI all operating flights from there. The airport is expected to handle almost 1 million passengers this year, reaching passenger numbers it hasn't seen since 2006. Again, not an airport that I'm massively familiar with. I have to say.
I am.
Oh, are you? Okay, all right then.
I did a lot of my flight training in Bournemouth.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay.
Yes, many years ago, so I know the airport very well.
So, I mean, is this again? Strike action is strike action, I suppose. But I guess this could potentially be quite damaging, especially you say if you haven't got ground handlers. Essentially, there's very little that you can do, which I guess is why they're talking about possibly closing the airport while it's happening.
Yeah, well, and this also ties in the first story because the Rigby Group have just sold this airport.
Right. Yes,
so it could be tied to stuff like that. But yeah, of course, if you've got no ground crew, then you can't operate flights, you can't do anything. So yeah, the airport will be effectively shut to passengers. It would still stay open for in case of an emergency if an aircraft need to divert there, because air traffic control and the operations side of the airport's completely separate from this sort of stuff.
Well, and sort of like fire crews and all that kind of thing, I suppose. So
they would all still be there working. Yeah. So I guess because there's quite a few biz jets fly out of Bournemouth as well,
right?
And there's also, I'm not sure if it's still there, Cobham used to have a collection of aircraft there that did work for the military, going out and
wow.
being chase aircraft for the military and stuff like that. Especially the sub hunters and things like that. So yeah, so that stuff will probably still operate, whereas the commercial passenger side will have to stop, unfortunately.
Indeed, and I guess from the airport's perspective, of course, I guess that's where they make most of their money, of course, because it's people spending money in the terminal and all that kind of thing, which is how they sort of look after the bottom end, as it were.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
or the bottom line. Sorry, that's a different conversation altogether. Yes, yeah. Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that. Perhaps with people taking over the airport, perhaps a deal can be struck. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
All right. We'll move on to our penultimate story. As I say, we've got a couple of very exciting videos to share with you. So not very many stories this week, Andy. We're off to the BBC as our source for this one, and more woes for Boeing.
Yes, Boeing defence workers this time go on strike in new blow to aviation giant. More than 3,000 Boeing defence workers went on strike on Monday in a fresh blow to the embattled aviation giant. It comes after union members at operations in Missouri and Illinois, who build the F-15 fighter jets and other military aircraft, voted against the firm's latest offer over pay, work schedules and pensions. We're disappointed our employees rejected an offer that featured 40% average wage growth, Dan Gillian, who is the Vice President of Boeing's Air Dominance Unit, said in a statement. Boeing is struggling to turn itself around after a series of problems, including safety issues and a damaging almost 8-week walkout by passenger plane workers last year. The walkout is being led by a local branch of the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, based in St. Louis, where Boeing's defence manufacturing hub is located. 3,200 highly skilled IAM union members at Boeing went on strike at midnight because enough is enough. This is about respect and dignity, not empty promises, the union posted on X. IAM is one of America's largest unions, representing roughly 600,000 members in the aerospace, defence, shipbuilding and manufacturing industries. And it's the first walkout at Boeing defence business since 1996, when work stopped for more than 3 months. But last week, Boeing's chief executive, Kelly Ortberg, downplayed the potential impact of the walkout. He highlighted that it would be a lot smaller than a strike last year, involving around 30,000 passenger jet workers, that cost the firm billions of dollars. I wouldn't worry too much about the implication of the strike. We'll manage our way through that, said Mr. Ortberg. Boeing has been hit by a series of crises in recent years, including 2 fatal crashes and a dramatic mid-air blowout of a piece of one of its aircraft. In 2018, as we know, a 737 MAX crashed after takeoff from Jakarta, killing all 189 people on board, and a few months later, the Ethiopian accident also occurred. Separately, in 2024, a panel fitted over an unused emergency exit of a 737 MAX came off mid-flight. The company delivered just 348 aircraft to customers last year, its lowest output since the pandemic.
Wow, that is a low number, isn't it? But
yeah,
I mean, it's safe to say they've been battling problem after problem, haven't they? And there's been talk. I'm sure I read in a story this week. There's been some potential problems and delays again with the MAX aircraft again, and it's all just. Yeah, I feel sorry for them almost. I feel like they need to catch a break, really.
Yeah, the 777X program as well is well behind at the moment. So yeah, they've got a lot of wars going on. Hopefully, they will sort it out. They're a huge company. Yeah, but it seems they're having more than their fair share of wars at the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah, real battle for them, as you say. And it's I do wonder, as I say, there's sort of like, obviously we're talking about strike action again, essentially with this one, which is why they're doing it. I mean, is it one of those things like, because I suppose, I don't know, one could blame the pandemic for a lot of things, I suppose, and I wonder if it's wage increases and all that kind of thing frozen for a number of years because they were shut for potentially, quite a long old time. Certainly airports were closed and all this kind of thing. And it was a while before people were able to go back and start making the planes. We're still not clear of that, are we? A lot of aircraft. And I think Airbus are in a similar situation. They're not delivering as many aircraft as they would have liked to have been doing at this point. And like spare parts and all that kind of thing. The knock-on effects of everything are still being felt like many years on.
Absolutely. And also the cost of living around the world has skyrocketed since the pandemic as well. So all of these combination of things seems to have just come to a head for these workers now who've had enough.
Indeed, yeah. As you say, well, the cost of living and all that kind of thing, it's costing us all so much more to buy our bread and milk and energy costs and all that kind of thing. So I guess I get why they're striking, because it's they're essentially their same salary is not going as far as it used to, and but that's a worldwide problem, I guess.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Indeed. All right, so we'll move on then to our last story for the news this week. It's actually a breaking news story, a little bit limited about what we can say about it. If you have been following the news wires, of course, you'll be aware that Birmingham Airport has had to close its runway after an aircraft incident. Flights are on hold at the runway, and the runway is closed at Birmingham Airport after an aircraft incident. The nature of the incident is not yet clear. Presumably, as I say, we don't speculate on these things anyway, and it'll all come out in a full report. It looks to me like it's a little twin,
King Air.
Yeah, King Air. That's sort of where essentially the gear has collapsed, hasn't it? On a landing.
It looked like from the video that the gear was down, but the right one hasn't locked correctly. Right. So as it settled in, it just started to fold back in. Yeah. And the runway's still closed currently at the time now. It's 7:20 British summertime in the UK.
On Wednesday,
and there's lots of speculation. Why aren't they reopening the runway? Well, the AAIB, who'll be investigating this, will want to preserve the site as it is for as long as possible, so they can collect all of the evidence before they then move the aircraft out of the way. And there might be runway repairs required as well. So it could be quite some time before it opens. Indeed. Maybe tomorrow. Yeah.
Indeed. In terms of the people involved in it, some of the updates, I'm just having a look at the breaking news. This is the BBC I'm using for the source of this. All persons on the aircraft have been discharged by the ambulance service, so that's good news. Everybody's okay. Both check-in and security are temporarily closed at the airport, as they're saying. The airport itself is apologising for the inconvenience to passengers and advises them to check the status of their flight before heading to the airport. Sort of 8 p.m. is the time frame currently being given, as Andy was saying there, but maybe take that one with a pinch of salt, as we say.
I've actually been in Birmingham Airport when something very similar happened back in 2005. A 737 had tried to land in East Midlands, lost one of its landing gear there, and came into Birmingham and landed there, and it was sat on the runway for most of the day. And what they actually had to do was they used a shorter runway length, and we were going to the Canary Islands. We actually departed Birmingham, light on fuel, dropped into Gatwick to fill the tanks up, and then carried on.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. As you do.
Yeah.
Love that. Yes, it's one of the things that I'm looking at there, and this does seem to be a problem with airports in general. I say, obviously, there's awful things happening, and delighted that everybody's all safe and well, and nobody's been hurt by the sound of it, or at least discharged by the ambulance services. They're saying, but there's a lot of the feedback that we're seeing on the socials and stuff. People complaining about the lack of information. And that this does seem to be a bit of a running trend, doesn't it? Where you sort of have these issues with the airport. I get that some of it might be the airline doesn't actually know themselves essentially what the situation is and when things are going to be reopening and planning for such things. But it's a running theme, isn't it, that people aren't being informed very well about what's going on.
Airlines generally keep the information to a minimum because they are constantly assessing the situation, and with things changing so quickly, their original plan might suddenly work again. They might have several backup plans. It's literally done on a second-by-second basis, and then they come up with another idea and go, oh, actually, that'll work better. Let's implement that. So there's no point in telling people all of these different plans as they come up with them until they finalise what they're actually doing. And it looks like disorganisation, but really there's a lot going on in the background trying to work out what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I mean, the story is talking about 5-hour delays so far, but again, we don't know where. A number of flights that were due to land in Birmingham have been diverted to Manchester and all that kind of thing. And to be fair, this is all very routine stuff, actually, isn't it? I mean, this is the safety of the passengers is always going to be paramount. Alan White says that there's been a few too many King Air accidents for my liking, he's saying in the chat room there. Yeah, indeed. Richard Adams is saying that Sandown has had to shut for several times. Has had to shut several times for similar reasons, even when a tractor was available to drag the aircraft off the runway. Yeah, mind you, I suppose if it did land on the or hit the runway, I guess obviously there's going to need to be inspection work done to make sure that and any holes and everything all filled in, I guess, to make the runway stable and safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've got to repair the runway so it's got the correct friction coefficients and all that sort of stuff for performance purposes.
Of course, absolutely. Well, that's where we bring our commercial section for this week to a close. Obviously, shorter than usual. The reason for that is we have a video that we cannot wait to share with you. But first of all, we're going to go off to Ireland, if that's all right, Andy, and share with you something that Nev and Carlos were up to at the weekend.
Yes, so Sid, now in his 10th season as a display pilot, is a former RAF fast jet pilot with around 5,500 hours flying time, having done multiple tours on the Tornado F3, flying missions over the Balkans in 1995, as well as QFI tours on the Hawk, the Grob Tutor in the University Air Squadron in elementary flying training roles, and on the Grob 120 TP Prefect. He now serves as a full-time reservist, QFI and AEF flight commander on the Universities of Wales Air Squadron at St Athan, flying the Grob Tutor once more. He joined the RAF straight from school, could fly jets before he could drive, and was a frontline F3 pilot at 22. Although by current Raven team member standards, he is a late starter, having only gone first solo at 17. Unlike the other ex-military pilots in the team, Sid was too slow when it came to dodging ground tours and has served as staff in HQ Air Command and in Kabul, Afghanistan. 2003 saw an invitation from Chris Heames to instruct on the Yak 52 Formation School at North Weald, where he went on to meet some of the current members of the team. The opportunity to display is a dream come true for him. A keen motorcyclist, Sid has been known to tour Europe, mainly the Pyrenees, with other bikers, and is also a passionate skier. And he spoke to Carlos from Western Airport in Dublin before the start of the Bray Air display.
Welcome, and we are here with Sid Shirley from the Raven display team. Sid, welcome onto the show.
Good to be here.
So Sid, tell us a bit about yourself.
About myself, I'm a serving military pilot, 36 years. I'm currently a full-time reservist instructor at St Athan, running one air experience flight, but fast jet by background, and 12 years doing this.
12 years,
yeah.
Flying
Team Raven, yeah.
Oh, awesome. So a bit about your career then. So you obviously military career, flying sort of fast jets, or?
Yeah, so 25 years a regular, so straight from school, flew Tornado F3, Hawk as an instructor and a weapons instructor, back to the F3, various ground tours, and mainly instructing, the last 26 years instructing on Tutor, Prefect, Tornado and Hawk.
Oh, varied aircraft then.
Yeah.
A favourite of the one?
Hawk.
A Hawk.
No doubt.
Okay.
Yeah, no doubt on that.
So what got you, or what brought you into joining the Ravens as a team?
I've always wanted to display. Tried the Reds a few times. Timing didn't work out. Didn't get in. Got promoted and then wasn't eligible. Never had enough money to buy an aeroplane to display, but it's something I've always wanted to do. Always had a hankering to display. And then when I left the regulars in 2014, I used my RAF gratuity to buy an aeroplane, and we formed the Ravens. And that was 12 years ago.
So you brought one of these aircraft, or?
Originally I bought an RV4, flew that for 4.5 years, leading the team, and then upgraded it when I sold my house and the aeroplane to buy an RV8.
So a bit about the RV8 then, for the listeners who may not know about the aircraft, sort of performance and how she flies.
It's a perfect sport aeroplane, really. So they're American-built kit. Well, they're not American-built. They're American kit planes. I bought mine built. Most of the team bought them already built. But it's a kind of what we term an 80% aeroplane, because you can tour in it, you can aerobat in it, you can just have fun in it, you can do formation in it. But it's not an extra, so it's not 100% aerobatic aeroplane, it's not 100% tourer. It's just 80% of everything, and it's a jack of all trades, but a master of all of them.
Because when you look at the aircraft, the wings are quite short, quite stubby wings.
Yeah, they're quite thick though, so there's a good amount of lift off them. It's a very low wing loading, but it rolls quite well. So reasonably small ailerons, and I fly the Tutor, which is pretty much a glider wingspan with the same size ailerons, and that rolls really, really slowly. But the short wingspan allows it to roll reasonably quickly.
And performance-wise?
Cruise is 160 knots, so 150, 160, so we go everywhere across Europe at 150, 160 knots, so you can move in it at 35 litres an hour. So, but the performance, V&E about 200 knots, and it's a fast accelerating aeroplane as well. It's a really nice aeroplane, weighs nothing, absolutely nothing, so empty weight, I don't know, about 500 kilos or something.
So the aerobatic flying itself, obviously you're well trained in that, but you fly, obviously you must fly formation with the team, sort of wing on, or is it a completely split formation? Or
a bit of everything really. Our aim is to keep something in the crowd, in front of the crowd at all times, so no dead time. So we do 6-ship aerobatics, 5-ship aerobatics, 4-ship opposition, all that kind of stuff. But what you'll notice from our display is once we degenerate from a 6-ship to smaller elements, we rejoin again. So it's not just the speed of the brakes and everything, it's how quick we get back together to do the next manoeuvre. So you'll see us spread to the 4 winds, the smoke goes off, sort of 90 seconds later we come back in as a formed group again. So all sorts of stuff.
So with the display you're doing today at Bray,
Yep.
Has there been a lot of preparation gone into that? Have you been doing preparation work in the air around?
We do a pre-season workup starting about March. First shows are normally end of May, beginning of June. So once the season starts, we don't practice because we're displaying pretty much every weekend. So there is a workup period of about 3 months, which we do, but also the 6-ship routine's very versed. We've done that for 3 or 4 years, so we're all very familiar with it. But every season, 3 months of workup.
So we've been down to the waterfront, seaside waterfront at Bray, and it's an awesome platform for us as viewers watching the show this afternoon. But for you guys flying just off the coast there, it must be such a great view to see all the people lined up, because there will be a lot of people there watching you.
It is actually. We've done Bray quite a few times, and most coastal sites you do are a couple of miles long and everybody's spread out along that, but here they're all just packed in and it's just like a solid mass of people, and the multicolours stand out really, really well on the beach. It's a great venue, nice straight beach. The only thing is we want to avoid the wind coming across Bray Head, because that gives us a lot of turbulence, but other than that it's a fantastic venue.
So has it been a busy year for you guys?
Slow start, so we had 3 weekends off in June, which was unusual. We did make a conscious decision this year to do slightly fewer shows just to give ourselves a bit of an easier time. But yeah, we're ramping up now, and we've done shows we haven't done before. Last weekend we were in Old Buckingham, never done that one before.
Oh, off my doorstep.
Yeah, hopefully you saw us there. So we've never done that one as a team. And now it does ramp up. We've got Blackpool, Clacton, we're in France, Spain, Southport. Yeah, so busy season.
Busy season. Do you do much around Europe as well?
Yeah, we do quite a lot in Europe. So we've got a few in France. We usually we've got 2 or 3 in Portugal normally. This year they're not doing them, but we're quite big in Portugal. But we've been asked this year to do as far as Lithuania and Poland, but we maybe look at that next year.
So as Raven 1, I'm guessing you're in charge.
Loosely, yes. More of a mascot with a number 1 on, really, pushed around on a stick. No, it's a team thing, but at some point, as you know, we've got 6 disparate characters. At some point, somebody has to make the decision, so that normally falls to me. The good ones and the hard ones normally come to me.
I'm going to say, have you got any favourites in the team?
The aeroplanes.
The aeroplanes, exactly. So going back to the display today, is there is there any sort of format you've got for the display today? Is it kind of...
We fly a known sequence, so in that sense, a little bit like the Red Arrows. So we fly the same sequence, and we like to get to the point, and we like to think we do get to the point in the mid-season about now where it's just pressing play on a DVD. So it's well versed, the muscle memory is there, we all know the routine back to front, and so it's just press play on a DVD and we fly the routine. We've got to do what we plan to do for the commentator, if nothing else, otherwise he's got no idea what's going on. So yeah, it's a well versed sequence, well rehearsed.
And the future, what have you got? Any sort of big plans for the Raven team, display team?
Not plans as such, just go on as is. Well, I don't know, you never say never. Whether we get bigger next year, we've definitely got people interested in joining the team. It's just what we do with it. So no firm plans yet, no.
On that note, for potential people who want to kind of join the Ravens, is there a kind of a criteria that you look for, like RAF, or is it? Can you just, like, we've got Alan here with us today, who flies for the Maritime Patrol, the rescue guys here. Could he just sort of come and join you guys? Is there a sort of thing you have to set?
Well, the biggest thing is own an RV8. So it's a bit like kids playing football in a field. It's where you got to bring a football, you got to bring an aeroplane really. So aeroplane to join, but no, we're not hard over ex-military or anything. I am not one of those that says the military do everything best. I'm a kind of 50-50 guy. That's the way I used to be, but I'm firmly in the camp that not everybody can do what we do, military or otherwise. I think you've got to fit in with the team. You've got to have a little bit of an everything background, tail dragger experience, bit of formation and aerobatics. But no, we'll look at anybody with the right criteria in terms of a little bit of experience, but we can train. So.
And finish the display today, and then go and have a pint of Guinness.
Obviously. Well, you're in Dublin. Why wouldn't you?
So, Sid, we're going to wrap up, but we always ask all the pilots we interview on the show kind of a question, put you on the spot question.
Oh, I love an on the spot question.
And we're obviously here at Weston, the airfield here. A lovely airfield as well, I will say. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Of the most beautiful airfields anywhere. They're just the Art Deco, and they've spent money on this, and it's in fantastic condition. The surfaces are fantastic. This is brilliant.
So, given the chance to walk over there now, hop into any aircraft, be it GA, commercial, military, retired, still flying, and you could go and take it out in the pattern now here at Weston, what would you choose? You can have more than... I'll let you have two if you want to.
Does it have to be here now?
No, it can be anywhere, but okay. Imagine it being over there now.
Okay, for me, Focke-Wulf 190 and the OV-10 Bronco. So
we've seen both of that. Yeah.
Tony De Brun, who was Tony De Brun from Kortrijk, who was at Old Buck last weekend. We've seen him on the circuit for 10, 11 years. I would literally lose parts of my body to have a go in that. The OV-10, just what an aeroplane. Yeah, I'd kill to have a go in that.
That is a new one. That's a new one we've not heard. So, but yeah, one that me and Nev here have seen up close, and I've sat in the Bronco as well. It's so good. But yeah, well done. Good choice. Good choice. Well, Sid, it's been lovely to talk to you today.
Likewise.
And all the best for the display.
Thank you.
And we'll be on the seafront there. Well, we'll see if you can. We'll wave. See if we can see us.
Give us a wave. We can see you.
But have a great display, and thanks for coming on. Enjoy the day.
Take care.
What a lovely chap. Really nice that was. Love that. A little nod to Old Buck, of course, which was only a couple of weeks previous, I think. So they really do the circuit, don't they? I know I shouldn't be surprised, but it's like Old Buck 1 week and then suddenly they're in the Bray Airshow doing their thing. I guess if you do that sort of thing, you're all over the shop.
Yeah, well, and the amount of work that has to go into these displays and then moving all their gear and stuff and all the logistics must be a nightmare.
Yeah.
But it's really good that they do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you seen these guys before?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. I do vaguely recall seeing them. I think again. I think it was actually at Old Buck, and a really fantastic display. We'll talk to Carlos and Nev, I'm sure, when they'll hopefully be back next week, sort of find out a bit more about their trip there. But yes, thank you to Nev and to Carlos for that. And of course, thank you very much to Sid, or Simon Shirley, for talking to us about his wonderful plane, and of course the display team that he is representing. Now, okay, we've delayed it long enough. The time is finally here. Now, many of you who are regular watchers to the show know that without very much explanation, the wonderful Armando sort of disappeared for a little while, shall we say, from our wonderful podcast, and we missed him terribly. But he was busy doing something, frankly, absolutely crazy, wasn't he, Andy?
He was, yes. And for those of you that don't know, I've never heard of him. He was off doing a Mr. Beast challenge. Now, Mr. Beast is a huge YouTuber that the younger generation out there all know very well. And he puts together these immense challenges for people to win these fantastic prizes and stuff. So we, Carlos, myself, and John Jester, caught up with Armando to find out what went on, how was it, and what did he think of the whole thing. So, Matt, over to you.
Welcome to a very special PTUK segment. For those of you who might know, there's a certain member of our team that for a period of time disappeared from the show. And it was a bit worried at some point because we couldn't get in contact with him. He was completely incommunicado. And you all should know by now who I'm talking about. It was a worry at the time, I'm not going to lie. And I have to say, Armando, you really did worry us. But Armando, welcome back. The winner of a certain jet. Hello, how are you?
Hey, Carlos, I am happy to be alive. I'm happy to be here. This is not a green screen. I'm actually in South Lake Tahoe, a rescheduled vacation from when we were in the challenge. We were supposed to be here back in May or something like that. But yeah, you're not kidding. Actually, one of the scariest texts that we received was from John Jester, who's going to join us here in a second. So, before I go into the story, I'm going to introduce Obina Okafor. Obina was my co-pilot during this 100-day challenge, and he absolutely killed it. He was... we're going to get into probably some aviation-specific questions, but could not have done the challenge without him. And the two of us were actually together for the entire 100 days, and we, I think, learned a lot from each other. So he's also going to answer some of these questions, right? Hello, say hello, Obina.
Hello, everybody. My name is Obina Okafor. As Armando has said, I was with him the entire time. Well, I flew the entire flights with him that he did during the 100-day challenge. And we did get a very, very good rapport. And I was happy that he was able to trust me to do the walkarounds, and trust that I knew what I was doing. So, yeah, it's awesome to be here. Really excited. Can't wait to chat and get to know everybody and speak about our experience.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the video, what we're talking about, and you're just kind of tuning in on the podcast, go over to YouTube, search up Mr. Beast. He's the world's #1 YouTuber. He's got 405 million subscribers around the world, and statistically, I think that means 1 in 18 people in the world are subscribed to him, which is interesting. But Obina and I were able to complete a challenge where I had to live on a jet for 100 days, and if I didn't step foot off that jet, which I really did not step foot off the jet, I won the jet, and here we are. We'll talk about where the jet is right at some point, but that's what we're talking about. So go over to YouTube, go to Mr. Beast, or just search for the Mr. Beast Jet Challenge, and we're going to come right up.
Now, I have to admit, Armando, I've watched it once, twice, 3 times, and I've even watched it 4 times. It's so fast paced that I don't know what it feels like for you being the person who's in behind the camera, but for us as a viewer watching that particular episode with you in, everything is so fast, everything is happening like lightning speed, like this all the time. Is that how it is, or how it was?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. There's 5 of us right now on the call. 3 of us have kids, and the speed at which kids, and by kids I mean 15 to 25, right? Because I'm almost 50 years old. The speed at which they go through content, they consume content is the speed at which this video goes. So us old guys would love to see probably a 2-hour long video with behind the scenes and great aviation footage. Unfortunately, that's not really the intended demographic. So you have to keep it like fast paced. Every 60 seconds, you have to have some kind of hook that brings the audience in. Now, it really was. We did a lot of fun stuff. And there was so much fun stuff that didn't even make it to the video, right, Obina?
Right. There's a lot of things that that we did, awesome stuff. And yeah, I was kind of sad to see like some of them not getting there, but at the same time too, like a whole bunch of really good content got in there as well too. So that was amazing.
And how does it feel to know that I think it's up to 117 million views now? 117 million people. Well, bar Carlos, who's watched it about 1 million times as well. How does that feel to know that many people have seen you do this?
For me, I don't know that it's settled in now. The timeline, we're recording this last week of July, and we just wrapped up the video. Like, we literally wrapped up. The last day was June 9th, 2025. The video came out on July 19th, I believe. So all of this is so whirlwind right now that I don't know that it's really settled in for me quite yet. And to be honest, I've actually tried to stay off a little bit of the analytics and who's watched it and all that stuff for the first couple weeks.
And how do you get in? How do you get onto a Mr. Beach challenge? How do you do that?
Well, I thought I was going to be Obina when they first. So I answered an ad for a contract pilot, as did Obina. Right? We both just answered. These I think his was on Crew Blast, mine was on a Hawker group, and it just happened to be that my work airplane, my Hawker that I fly out of Charlotte, was going down for a big inspection, and it was going down for 12 weeks of maintenance, big G inspection. The timing was as such where I asked my chief pilot, "Hey, can I like apply for this contract and make some extra cash and get some extra flying in over the next couple weeks, or couple weeks being 3 months?" And he said, "Yeah, timing's perfect. My flight department has 2 airplanes and 4 pilots. We were down to 1 airplane and 3 pilots without me." So he said, "Go do it." I had no idea. I was getting cast for anything. I literally thought I was just going to be flying Mr. Beast, Jimmy and his team around for 100 days. I thought, man, it's going to be some extra cash. I imagine we're going to do a lot of different locations, probably stay in some nice hotels, and it'll be fun, right? It'll just be a fun thing. I had no idea I was being cast for anything until just a few weeks prior to us beginning filming, where they said something weird on one of our phone calls. And I'll let Obina talk about his own experience. But the first phone call, after the first phone call with the what you would consider an HR interview for any contract pilot job, resulted in a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA. So I thought that was a little weird. And then at some point they were like, yeah, you're great. Your qualifications are awesome. You meet the insurance requirements. Can you send us a 90-second video? I was like, okay, well, that's, sure. And thanks to the podcast at PTUK, I'm pretty comfortable talking to a camera. And it was literally just a couple of weeks prior to the beginning of the project that they said, no, you're the guy. We're casting you. Be ready to be the contestant.
I was literally playing video games, and I got this ad on Crew Blast saying, "Hey, we need a contract pilot to come test fly this aircraft," because they apparently they do the test flight once a month, just to make sure everything is working fine. Do the gears up, gears down, pressurization and all that stuff. And I got there, I did the flight test, and I did send an NDA as well too, which I was so confused because I was playing video games. I was like, why am I giving send an NDA for a flight test? I'm like, am I flying for NASA? Like, what's going on here? So I ended up getting up there. North Carolina, did the flight test, and they're like, hey, do you want to stay on this stay on and fly with our contestant? I'm like, fly for what exactly? Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm just here for a flight test, and yeah, they give me a short brief. It's going to be a 100-day video. we're gonna have a contestant. We want someone who's very well experienced with the Honeywell, and it's also a captain too, so that you guys can rotate seats and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely down for that, and that was it. And I just got stuck with this fella for the next 100 days.
Poor man.
Yeah.
No, I've been lucky enough to have been able to fly with Armando a few times over in the US, and I was sat right seat with Armando in the PC-12, and really enjoyed it. And it's awesome flying with someone like Armando. I mean, I've known him for quite a few years now, and obviously he does the podcast with us as a host. What's it like to sit next to Armando? What's he like to fly with?
Fly with Armando is like flying with Wikipedia.
Ah,
you get what I'm saying, right? You get it. He just knows everything about everything, aviation related, life related, just anything. Like he's like a bank of knowledge, bucket of wisdom. He just knows everything and has everything in him. So I remember after the first couple of flights with him, I told him, I said, hey man, I can't think of anybody else that would have picked for this challenge because you're killing it in every department, on camera, talking with Jimmy, flying, just keeping things, going by the regulations. It's just been awesome. And I did learn a lot from him, flying with him, and it's been one of the best experiences of my aviation career, I would say.
Armando, now going back to the show, you obviously had a list of challenges that you had to do. One of those, what sticks out for me, is right at the beginning of the episode where you had to make a choice between having a shower or to win a potential prize. Now, those of you who watched the program will know that prize turned out to be something quite nice. Are you gutted that you missed out on owning a... well, what could we say? It wasn't just a Ford Focus, was it?
Well, so that was actually the offer between the bed and the Lamborghini. I will talk about the shower because I've already done a couple talks, believe it or not, to the Civil Air Patrol, where John Juster and I got our start. So the shower question keeps coming up, and that's pretty interesting. On day 10. My thought was, I'm in here by myself. I don't need to shower. Plus, I have 13 military deployments under my belt to all kinds of different destinations. I have gone a long time without showering. That's not to say that I'm not clean, because aside from the dude wipes, one of the things that they didn't use in the video was I had available to me whatever was in the airplane. And the things that were in the airplane were things that you would expect to be in a corporate jet, in a private jet. So there was actually a handful of washcloths, cleaning rags, but washcloths. And I had potable water. I had a GPU plugged in most of the time, so I had electricity. So I could actually go to the back to the airplane lav and get a washcloth wet, use some hand soap, and then I had the microwave, so I would put it in the microwave for a minute, get it nice and hot. So I would actually joke with Abina all the time. Throughout the challenge, I would say, hey, buddy, if you ever get into this airplane and I stink, you need to let me know that, which I don't think I ever did.
No.
Stink. But that didn't make it to the video, obviously, because, it's I mean, I think it's funny, but I actually was able to stay somewhat clean for the entire 100 days with more than just dude wipes. So I consider that my actual biggest mistake. To be honest, I don't know, there's millions of people in the world that would love to have a diet of canned meats and proteins and bags of rice and canned vegetables. So, I've traveled to almost 70 countries. I've seen the worst and the best of humanity. And to be honest, it wasn't the best, but I was fine. If that was going to be my diet for the 100 days, that was going to be it. And, there was a lot of resiliency that goes into this that I had kind of built up over the last 30 years. But I was ready to go the whole challenge, just eating canned meats and making up recipes.
And what was it like living in? People think private jet's a nice big thing, but in reality, it's a tiny tin tube. that's not really designed to be stood up and walked around in. What was the psychological effect on you as the time went by and you were just stuck in this? I know you could have the door open, and at some points you were out on the wing as well, which I thought was great. But at night, when you're just stuck in the same place, I'm really glad you went for the bed, by the way. Best choice. I'd have done the same. But so how was it?
Yeah, well, I think the cabin of a hawker is 5'8", and I'm 5'9", so by 1 inch I was bent over, like my head was tilted to the side. I realized that if I didn't have any shoes on and I didn't have a hat on, like a baseball cap, then I could more or less walk up and down the airplane. The Hawker is a mid-sized jet, so it's not as small as a Lear or Citation, but it's certainly no Gulfstream or Challenger or Global. So a mid-sized jet was 5'8", the cabin, and then it was 18 feet from the lav to the cockpit. So not a whole lot of space. And I think at some point in the video I said this must be what it's like being in prison. I've never been to prison, so perhaps that's not the best analogy, but it's like being in a tiny little in a school bus for 18 days. So that's probably the closest analogy that I can make is imagine living in a school bus and you just kind of run out of space. And
the person that's known you probably the longest here. I know I've known you the longest here. So many questions, none of them appropriate for this situation. So I consulted an expert that's in the demographic of the video, my son. He wanted to know like what was the hardest part of the challenge, and did you actually like really think about leaving the plane at one point?
So the hardest part of the challenge was by far missing the family, and I think they did a great job of capturing that throughout the video. And that's why I made the decision at the end. If you watch the video, but there was other reasoning behind that. So aside from missing the family, I did not have a device. They took my phone, they took my iPad. I tried to order a Kindle and they took it away from me because it connects to the internet. Some astute viewers saw that in the clip where Jimmy needs to fly somewhere, and we ended up we decorated the airplane once I got DoorDash. Some astute viewers saw a Nintendo Switch box being taken off the airplane. So that was kind of a bust. So the hardest part was just coming up with activities, and luckily, largely based on my previous military training, I had been given a toolkit to kind of deal with isolation and captivity type things. So training and just kind of general experience. So I knew it was all mental. And as long as I stayed busy, so I stayed busy by cleaning. They didn't show that. I would clean like a madman, and I didn't have a Hoover or a vacuum cleaner. So I would, for an hour a day, I would pick all the lint off the carpet, and I would wipe down the seats, and I would keep that airplane spotless. And for an hour a day, I would just walk those 18 feet from the front to the back, to the front to the back, to the front to the back. I thought they were going to use a lot more of that because that would have been funny. And then one thing that didn't make the video that I was pretty proud of is they didn't do my laundry, but they did get my uniforms dry cleaned. When you receive your trousers back from the dry cleaner, there's that cardboard bit along the bottom. I ended up using a steak knife that I found in the galley to cut the cardboard up into pieces and make chess pieces. And with a Sharpie, I made a chessboard on a placemat, and I had enough chess pieces made out of cardboard from a hanger that I actually played a lot of chess, Queen's Gambit style, just by myself. Now that the video is over, I would always ask Obina to sneak me magazines from the FBOs, which he did. Sometimes they would take them away. Sometimes they would let me keep them.
So one of my other questions I got from my son was, did you like the Feastables, and what was your favorite flavor?
Oh, actually, I'm going to let Obina go first on this one.
Oh my God. The Feastables are amazing. I have actually never tried them until the challenge started. And the first one I tried was the cups. and I was like, this is like so good. I've never really known what, because Amado, he described it as a British chocolate. So like an exotic British chocolate. I don't know what that tastes like because I never had an exotic British chocolate before. So when I had it, I was like, this would be what it tastes like, because it tastes so different from anything else you would have, in the US, whether it's a Snicker bar or whatever. Like, it was so different. And I remember I got a whole pack of it, brought it home to my wife, and she had some and she loved it. And so every time I went for the challenge, I always bring like five from there, and I have like a whole stack in my house right now of the vegetables. They're amazing.
Yeah. I will say we're not getting paid by Jimmy or Mr. Beast.
No, definitely not.
I think we're both thankful to have had the opportunity, but there's no like long-term relationship. We're not pushing Feastables. I actually thought it was some of the best chocolate that I've ever eaten.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of like a nice like Swiss European chocolate, because I think they don't use a lot of the preservatives. They don't use chemicals. They try to stay pretty organic with those. My favorite was the dark chocolate sea salt.
The actual program itself, Armando, we did see a kind of a part where there was a slight issue with the aircraft. I think it was something with the gear leg and stuff like that. Was that kind of, because on the program itself they make it seem like it's amazing, oh my god, yeah, this is happening, but I suppose for you as a season pilot, this was just like a brush it off.
Yeah.
Easy.
So I'm glad you asked that, because there is somebody advised me not to read the comments on the YouTube videos and some of the reaction videos. I do want to say we had an airplane manager, which was a whole team. So they are a company that is well versed in managing private aircraft up to globals and Gulfstreams. So we actually had a chief pilot. We had a director of operations. We had a dispatcher, because as you guys can imagine, this was a really dynamic project where it required a lot of coordination. The Beast team are not airplane people, so one of the smartest things they did is they did bring in airplane people. So all of the maintenance was managed. We had actually two contract maintenance teams, one there at the airport, and then we had the ability to have a mobile team come out to the airplane. So at no point did we even come close to pushing any limits. And one of my stipulations for doing the challenge, all the way back when I started talking to them in November of last year, when I thought I was just going to be a PIC, was, hey, I'm going to keep you safe. I'm going to keep you legal, and then we'll make good content. But I need to have ultimate authority on safety, weather, and maintenance of the aircraft. Now, as contract pilots, you get people that are all over the spectrum, from retired airline pilots in the contract world in the Part 91 sort of biz jet, all the way to your brand new CFIs that's just transitioning to the jet. I was lucky to have had Obina, who was an experienced captain with over 4,000 hours in the airplane. So we, right off the bat, from the very first flight, which was on the first day of filming, was we established, hey, this is a 2 thumbs up operation. If either one of us does not feel comfortable with anything, whether it's weather, maintenance, passenger, weight and balance, performance, sleep, fatigue, anything like that, we will no go. The Beast team actually respected that, and the airplane manager backed us up with our chief pilot. So while there was some bits in the video that may have looked that way, we had the typical issues here and there. Nothing that would have grounded the airplane. Had there been something to ground the airplane, we would have grounded the airplane and just had maintenance take care of it. We had some slop in the production schedule to account for maintenance. In the challenge, we did actually lose 1 day to weather and 1 day to maintenance. But what they didn't show is we actually pre-programmed 1 day for rest, because flying for 10 days straight, Obina and I both decided, because we had ultimate authority as both PICs, both captains, we had ultimate authority, and we said, hey, we're going to need a rest day in here to make sure we're not fatigued the day before we go do the hardest flying day, which was the air-to-air shoot. So the strut thing, that was actually just a regular maintenance thing that, it came up, Obina, who I couldn't step off the airplane to do the walkarounds, Obina was in charge of struts and tires and static wicks and all the things on the outside of the airplane.
Yeah, we had one of the struts on the main gear was getting a little bit low, so just had them refill that, get it back up. So, and one of the tires was getting worn out, so just had that changed as well. So nothing major, nothing crazy. Just they just made how things could be dramatic sometimes. They can make it dramatic, but yeah.
How did you ensure that you were getting proper rest, living on an aircraft, to then go out and do all that flying?
Yeah. So my second mistake that I made was even though Obina had full access to the maintenance tracker and our squawk sheet and our basically our airplane status sheet, which is all online, I requested access to that, saying, "Hey, if I'm sitting left seat, I need to know the maintenance status of the airplane." They gave me that, and my second mistake in the challenge was letting them know that, "Hey, you guys gave me access to this, but I can see the flight schedule." And they said, "Well, we can't have that." So they immediately took it away from me. And what we settled on was they would, because out of the 100 days, the majority of the challenge was actually just in the hangar, the isolation. The hardest part was the isolation of being in the hangar without any contact with the outside world. The flying days were easy because they killed a whole day. They would kill 12 or 14 hours all said and done. But they would give me a heads up, and they would tell me, "Hey, we've got a flight planned tomorrow. Make sure you get good sleep tonight." So from a safety standpoint, the chief pilot kind of made that a standing rule. And also for those that are familiar with Part 91 rules, Part 135 rules, so Part 91 being the least stringent of federal regulations, Part 135 being the next level up for like a public charter for the safety of the public. We actually operated the entire challenge, even though we didn't have to, under Part 135 regulations. So we stuck to crew rest, flight hours, times during the day that we flew, and we actually had to cancel a couple flights and stay overnight a couple places because as a crew we said, "Hey, we're going to go over our 8 hours of flying for the day or our 14-hour crew day," and they 100% honored that because ultimately we had ultimate say on that.
Was there one day that stands out for you? Was there one particular day that sticks out?
I'm going to go two ways with this. So one is the family day, because getting to see Meg and Maddie, who have been on the show, getting to see them on day 50, that was the exact same. That was the exact time that I needed to see them to sort of get refueled to continue. Actually, John, you asked one question. No, at no point did I ever think about quitting. At no point in the 100 days did it ever cross my mind to step foot off that airplane. I knew from day one that I could make it to 100. Now, how that journey was going to be, I didn't know. But for me and myself, I knew I could get to 100 days easy. I've done 180-day deployments to way terribler, that's not a word, places. So the family day was great. I think Obina and I are probably on the same page. The best day was the air-to-air day.
Air-to-air.
Yeah, on that subject, Armando, some of the aerial shots that were in the video looked absolutely stunning. How did they go about doing it? Was there another jet beside you? Or was it?
I wish there was another jet. No, what we had was a non-turbo Bonanza as a photo ship. So we had a non-turbo Bonanza with an IO 540 in it, so fuel injected but not turbo. The max speed of a Bonanza that is non-turbo is about 150 knots. That is a very slow speed for our jet. So we decided, we briefed up, and I'll let Obina jump in here too, full military style. I have a picture that I'll share with the world of the briefing that we did. We did a day prior briefing, just like we do in the military. Then we did a day of briefing where I think there was 11 people in the airplane from the pilots of our aircraft, the pilots of the other aircraft, the producers, the writers, the videographers from both aircraft. So we did a full, thorough brief, at least an hour long. It may have even been longer than that because we went through a lot of donuts. We briefed it up like a
Feastables.
And Feastables, yeah. first thing in the morning, Feastables. But we briefed it up like a full military operation. We filmed in 3 different locations that day. The first one being Van Nuys, taking off out of Van Nuys, which is very complicated airspace. So what I did was actually was able to bring in a third pilot, one of my buddies, a formation instructor pilot. And it actually took all of our efforts. So we had Obina, myself, and Tommy Ishii in the right seat for the formation day to make sure that everything we were doing was absolutely safe. And we briefed it up. Tommy was the flight lead from the right seat. And at any point, either one of us could knock it off. Anybody on the crew, even in the back end of the airplane, because I come from a crew background. So even in the back of the airplane, if anybody wasn't comfortable, anybody could call and knock it off, and then we just land and reconvene. But the first part of the shoot that day was very complicated airspace. We showed over Ojai, Camarillo, Santa Monica, really Van Nuys. That's under the Class Bravo of LA. So Obina was fully responsible for terrain and traffic and systems because he had the best view of all of the whole overview of the cockpit. And then Tommy and I would swap on who was flying the formation and operating radios because we were getting instructions from the videographer as minute as give me 3 feet down, 3 feet up, take it 5 out, bring it 5 in. Okay, slide it back 10 feet, bring it up 10 feet. Okay, let's go dynamic. So do a cross under, and doing this all in a jet at a very sort of backside of the power curve. So we were flaps 15. We one of the funniest things out of that day was we had orange tape. The hawker will yell at you if you go below a certain power setting and the gear is up. So we had to put orange tape on the gear handle, orange tape on the gear silence horn, and orange tape on the circuit breakers because we had to pull that. And between 3 pilots, we said, do not forget to put the gear down. Do not forget to put the gear down when we go to land. But we had to pull that horn, briefed up safely, of course. And really, I think the video is great. The content was great. Probably my happiest moment was getting to show Obina, like that military style flying, that military style briefing, and oh my God, we're so close to that other airplane, right?
Right. Yeah. It was my first time doing a formation flight, of any sort. Yeah, and trying to figure out, okay, how slow can we get this Hawker to match the airspeed of the Bonanza, and trying to figure that out, going through the books, and we came up with speed of 140 knots thereabouts, so plus or minus. The briefing was definitely military style. Like it was so, what's the word I'm looking for? It was just perfect, the perfect briefing. And also watching the aircraft, like I think I can remember my first view of the Bonanza from the Hawker in the cockpit, and I was like, whoa, we are so close to another aircraft. Like it was a crazy experience for me, and it was amazing. I was, like you said, I was in charge of terrain, airspaces, and also traffic as well too, because we were flying on our own in some areas where we weren't talking to the controllers. So I had to look out for other people, other general aviation pilots flying around, and make sure that we're far away from them as much as possible. And it was a great experience, doing a bunch of VFR stuff in a jet. And as well to the Niagara flight. Remember the flight to Niagara that we did? That was amazing as well. Flew over Niagara Falls, just at 4,000 feet, dropped down to 3,000 feet, just flying around with other pistol aircraft as well too. Just doing our thing in a jet. Like I'm sure everybody was like, what are these guys doing? They're in a jet flying around in Niagara Falls, so amazing. Yeah, that day was probably the highlights of the whole challenge for me. The entire 10 days actually of the 10-day challenge we did for DoorDash was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, but you've got all the items though, which is the main thing. I was so proud of you, Armando. You managed to get every single item, which I knew you would do. To be fair, it was always going to be a win scenario for you.
We did. We had planned some fudge time, some slop in the timeline, and we ended up needing every bit of the 10 days between the weather day, the maintenance day, and the crew rest day. We ended up getting all of the items in 7 flights. So there was a couple days where we had to hit a couple different spots. I don't know that was super clear in the video. But yeah, there was a couple days where I think we hit either 2 or 3 of the items in one day. And again, we're not getting paid by DoorDash, but with DoorDash, you could literally, like, we're pilots with ForeFlight. You know exactly what time you're taking off. You know what time you're going to land. You know the address to the FBO because of the the FBO tab on ForeFlight. So we could literally pre-order the item to meet us at the FBO when we landed, much like a steak dinner if you wanted to. We actually were doing that most of the time. To assure that there was no hiccups, we would pre-order the item before takeoff to assure that it would meet us at the FBO at our next challenge location.
Yeah, one of the days for that was at New Orleans, from Houston to New Orleans to Tampa. There was weather everywhere, the whole southern area. So we had to order it to New Orleans. We did a quick turn of like 15 minutes. We didn't get fuel. We had enough fuel already. 15 minutes, we dropped in, parked, picked it up, recorded the video, and we're out of there. And there was a storm coming too, because we came through the storm, and the storm was coming to New Orleans when I get stuck in there because we had maintenance scheduled in Tampa as well too. So it was just amazing.
Yeah, that was a pretty good day.
Yeah, one of the bits that brought back some great memories for me, Armando, was the Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah. Oh, so that was at the height of me eating canned food. That was, I think, on because Jimmy and the team had gone off to Africa to film the Million Meals video. So they had flown commercial to Philadelphia and then had us go pick them up. And so that I was already a couple weeks into just eating canned tuna, and I told them, like, you guys got to give me something, and sure enough, Jimmy and I think it was Nolan, maybe it was Carl, I don't. Somebody brought me back the Philly cheesesteaks. They brought back 2, one for Obina, one for me, and I looked at him and I was like, "You're not actually going to eat that Philly cheesesteak, are you? Like, you are going to give that to me." And he was nice enough. He gave me, so I got 2 Philly cheesesteaks out of the deal. I did cuddle with one of them for a little bit because it smelled so good.
If you were given this chance to do 100 days, would you do this?
I may or may not do that. I just, it's a big ask. I mean, I spend so much time on airplanes. Yeah, could I do it? Especially on my ride would be easy because I have beds and real chairs and stuff. But that's a big ask. That's a big mental drain. And if I go back to COVID, where I was stuck on the road for 3 months, so similar, but I at least got to go change venues. I got to go change hotel rooms. I got to get on the plane and go somewhere. That's a big thing. And mentally, I'm so impressed with Armando doing this. I'm so impressed that Obina survived Armando doing this. So, one, thanks Obina for keeping him safe, because I'm still very mad at Armando, and Meg is a absolute saint for getting back to me in like 2 hours after I stalked her on a website and dropped a message going, "What the heck? It's freaking me out. I can't take this anymore." So no, it's a hard thing. And then, just knowing that, I had contact when I did my long time on the road, and he didn't have that. Whew, that's the hard part there. Right? That's strong man there. He's a very strong man.
How about you, Andy?
I'd like to say I could do it. The motivation of a $2.5 million jet would certainly help. But yeah, as John said there, it takes some resilience to get through 100 days of that. So fair play to you, mate.
And Abina, how about you? Would you take the challenge?
Definitely, I would, but I might end up being dragged out of the aircraft at 100 days because I would have been like,
So I had a lot of fun doing it, and I gotta give a shout out to the production team. I would see these producers, production coordinators, production assistants day in and day out. So the team was really great. I consider myself friends with them now. So I would see them day in, day out. I was largely isolated in the airplane. They had the ability to talk to me Big Brother style. I was mic'd up all the time, but a lot of the conversations were just kind of one-sided, just my inside thoughts becoming outside thoughts. And occasionally they would answer, but I was largely isolated. And the biggest takeaway was I realized that I had so much going on in my life, and I think we could all probably relate to this, between families and kids and work and jobs and taking care of a house and taking care of moving house and taking care of our parents and bills and all this stuff. It's like life is just a rat race. And having 100 days to be off grid, I did not miss my phone. I didn't even think about my phone until day 53. I remember that clearly because I journaled about it, where I said, wow, I really haven't missed my phone until day 53. And I realized that I had not given myself enough time for myself in my regular life. I try to jam pack my schedule. So really getting rid of all of that was almost this like a therapeutic retreat where you were just off grid. And that was my biggest takeaway, is that I needed to come out of it and slow down a little bit, spend time with the people that matter and doing the things that matter, reduce my time on devices and just kind of slow my life down, because honestly, I felt good. I was isolated. It was hard, but I felt good. I felt good about my mental state. I was sleeping like 10 hours a night. Once I got the gym, I was outside and exercising every day. So that was my biggest takeaway, was I learned and I brought away with that from the challenge to just slow down.
Mm. And how many times did you hit your head on the cameras?
Oh, hundreds. They could fill a 30-minute video just of me bonking. The one particular producer, Chris, was every time I hit my head, he would go onto the speaker, the God mic, and he would just say bonk. So the voice in the ether would just remind me that I just hit my head. But you could literally fill a 30-minute video just of me hitting my head on the cameras.
And well, just going to ask you, Armando, would you do it again?
Well, I did get asked that question, right? Would I stay another 100 days for 500,000? My answer was no. My answer is still no, I wouldn't. I did it for my family. I took the challenge because it would speed up everything. It would, pay for so many things to have the ability to win the jet and then sell the jet at some point, because it is currently in maintenance. I would do it to that point, but the day we finished, I calculated the math. I did a lot of math in captivity, and the day we finished, I had 2,253 days until my daughter has the choice to leave my house the day she turns 18. I couldn't justify in my head to spend 200 days, almost 10% of the time that I have left with her, away from her for this kind of situation. And as you guys know, I already spent 2 years away from my family when I was in my last few years in the military. So I've already missed 2 years of her life. And I wasn't comfortable. I couldn't do the math in my head to spend a total of almost 10% of the time that I have left with her doing a challenge like this. So 100 days was good. 200 days, I think, was too much.
Well, Armando, thanks for coming on. Abina as well. Thank you very much for joining us as well. It's always nice to have two. How do I put this? Two globally famous YouTube guys. Obviously, Armando, you've been a big part of PT UK for a long while now as a regular co-host on the shows. But from me, I just want to say thank you for being part of my show, but also thank you for your service and also for being awesome on the Beast Challenge. Well done. Round of applause to you.
Thanks, Carlos.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
I mean, wow. Do you know one of the things of that video when I was watching it, I sort of caught it, like, I think it had been released only a few minutes when it sort of popped up on my feed, and it was towards the end there, and Meg could obviously just hear what was going on outside when they'd reached the end of the challenge and stuff, and she's literally screaming into the aircraft, whatever it is, no. Whatever it is he's offering you, no, stop it, I've been through enough. Maybe, yeah. It couldn't happen to a nicer guy, frankly. Amazing. What an insane experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And to apply for something not knowing that that's what was going to happen as well, even better.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds very Armando, to be fair.
Yeah, he just wanted to go flying, and he ended up sitting down on a jet for most of the time.
For most of the time, which is less fun. What was really interesting as well, and I know we were talking about this sort of like in between as well. What was really quite interesting, as you say, is like, obviously it's a big production crew that are involved in all of this kind of thing, but it was essentially Armando that was calling the shots in terms of whether they could go flying or not. And actually that was quite nice to sort of hear that essentially, if neither of them felt up to it, that they would be able to essentially say, no, we can't do it today, because essentially they're deeming it not safe.
Yeah, and that's just being a pilot, isn't it? It's ingrained inside you, regardless of what the whole thing's about and the entertainment value, etc. If it's not safe, it's not safe. And I really like the fact that the production team as well put no pressure on about that. It was just, yep, okay, these guys are the experts. They say no, no.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. And again, perhaps a lot of people won't quite get this because it was what was it? Was it the Lamborghini for the bed? I can't remember. No, it was what was it? It was it cash? I can't. Anyway, whatever it was, swapping it for a bed. And I guess you having done as much flying as you've done, of course. I mean, I dare say that would be a no-brainer for you as well, regardless of what was on offer. Was like, I need a bed.
Oh, yeah, definitely the bed. I mean, I like my sleep at the best of times, and if I'm having to make a bad situation of trying to sleep in between two seats better, I would take the bed. Who needs an Lamborghini anyway? There.
Yeah, overrated.
Have the bed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Indeed. Well, that's where we bring a very special episode of PT UK, episode number 563, the one where one of us won a private jet. Of course, it was Armando. Andy, thank you so very much for joining me on this one. I know you're absolutely knackered and cannot wait to go and have a lie down in a darkened room. What have you got on your schedule for the rest or for this weekend and next week?
Busy. I'm working all weekend. Next week I am busy again, then working the following weekend in Milan. So yeah, it's chaos, but fun chaos.
Yeah, chaos of the fun kind, as you say. I'm off to the OB Weekender. It's a big music festival that's here in the east of England. I'm there with the radio station, and we're going to be very busy doing lots of live shows and listening to people like Hoosiers and Harley Moon Kemp and some DJ called Chris Moyles, who's going to be there as well. Can't wait.
Oh, lovely.
Going to be an amazing weekend. Thank you very much for joining us for this super special episode. Congratulations once again to our friend, the wonderful Armando. Hopefully normal service will be resumed next week. Again, Andy, thanks for joining me. We'll see you for episode 564 next week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. And there we go. What a very special episode that was. Andy, I'm not going to keep you any longer, bless you. I know you're absolutely exhausted. Thank you very much for joining me. What have we got in here? Just to have a quick look at the chat room. Where are we? Brilliant, guys. What a show. Well done. All, yeah, I know. What a treat. Really cool. Masha, hello. I just realised in the intro I didn't say hello to everyone in the chat room, but you know we all love you, so that's no problem. Yeah. Fantastic. I'm still quite shocked that he hadn't even told John, his mate.
Yeah.
That was as you
John
say,
was not happy about that.
I bet he was. I bet he was absolutely blooming fuming if I know the lovely John. Anyway, yeah, absolutely. So hopefully he'll be back soon. On the podcast. Obviously he's got quite a lot of other stuff that he's having to do, that's because he's now a global media star. He's got quite a lot, so it'll be a little while before we see him again, sadly, but yeah, absolutely, at least he's back in the real world now, or whatever that is. All right then, so we're going to say good night then. Thanks very much for watching, as always, really appreciate it. And Andy, I'll leave you to say goodbye.
Yes, thanks for joining us all for this very special show, and see you all next time. Bye-bye.